So last week we were talking about compassion and the sin of killing, and especially the sin of killing yourself, suicide. Um, and we ended it by saying that a person naturally has greater compassion for his own brother or close family than for a stranger. Therefore, killing someone in your own family is more severe. It's almost worse because you're supposed to love them, and there's no more closer person to you than yourself. And so it follows that suicide is considered a more severe. Um, I'm not going to say sin because the word chet in Hebrew means you've missed the mark. It means that you're not aligned with who you were called to be. You've wandered away from your true self. So it's a more severe wandering away from your true self than regular murder. וכן מי שהמית את עצמו יהיה עונשו גדול בלי ספק, מפני שמשלו בזה כעבד שציווהו אדוניו לשמור מקום לזמן ידוע. So another reason why the consequences, the severity of it is so severe is that he's analogous to a servant whose master instructed him to guard a certain place for a certain amount of time and warned him that his hero shelo yipared mimenu ad sheyavo shliach adonav elav. And he said, don't leave this place until the master's messenger will come. Like, you'll be relieved of your post, but you must stay at your post. But when he sees that the messenger's tarrying, nifrad min hamakom kodem bo'o, he gave up and he wandered away from his place. And because he did that, the master punished him terribly. So similarly, a person who kills himself has forsaken his post, his service of God, and rebelled against him by placing himself in the danger of death. So it's not just talking about someone committing suicide, but it also means putting yourself in unnecessary danger. And the bottom line here is that your body is sacred. So he's analogous to a servant. I'm going to take my glasses off so I can see better. With this example, the author will demonstrate why a person cannot simply say that my body is my own and I can do what I want with it. And that's in the Marapila method. The Rambam says, neither the death penalty nor lashes may be adjudicated on account of a person's admitted guilt, or perhaps he's lost his senses or is suicidal and wants to end his life. So in the Hilchot Sanhedrin, Rambam basically exonerates anyone who's a suicide by saying that, in that situation, a person isn't in full control of his faculties and can't be judged guilty. Radbaz explains that a possible reason for this prohibition is that man's life is not his own asset, it is God's, as the verse states in Yechezkel, the lives are mine, and a person's admissions of guilt cannot have a consequence on someone else's property. I think we did this yesterday. Yeah, we did this yesterday. So just to go over it a little bit, the difference in the way that God gives over the object to man. When it comes to material wealth, God remains the principal owner, but when giving it to man, he gives it in a manner that man becomes the owner over it, in the sense that he's the decision maker and he has full control over his body. Like when you pick up a drink, you don't start thinking, oh, like I have to dive into Hashem to help me to know it works. We don't know how, but somehow we make our body work exactly the way we want it to. We have literally the capacity, we don't even understand how this works, to close our eyes, open our eyes, get in a car and drive, walk. It's really miraculous if you think about it. And all we have there is a prohibition against destroying it in vain. So when it comes to our bodies and our lives, we don't become owners. We have to remember we're simply guardians. God has entrusted us with his precious belonging, tells us to guard it. And a guardian cannot ruin what has been deposited in his care. He has no right to hurt himself. Why this distinction? Because life and wealth in general have this distinction. When it comes to life, it's always clear to man that his life is dependent on God. Man recites daily in prayer, Elokainu shamash nasata bi, and he's aware, the soul that you gave to me is pure, and he's aware of the constant need to serve God through Torah mitzvot. So the need is not only reflective of man's soul, but also of his body. In the words of the Zohar, his body is sacred. Since this is the nature of life, God's sole ownership of it predominates, and the person loses all freedom to decide what he wants to do with his body. So although he has full control technically, legally, according to the law of Hashem, we are not allowed to harm ourselves. Material property, on the other hand, doesn't have that same category. It doesn't display any godliness, but we're supposed to rather take the thing and lift it so that it then becomes within God's realm. So that's one of the reasons that we're here. Any questions on that? A little bit of a complex part.
No, I'm good. I think I understand it,
Okay.
actually.
Okay. So instructed him. God does not merely order man to fulfill his mission. Rather, God gives each person the strength needed to fulfill his mission. In the words of the Medrash, God only asks man what he's capable of. So that done in a way, it might seem harsh, but I take it a different way. I take it that even if you're in the most severely scary situation, whether it's your mind and your thoughts that are playing with you, or that there's reality there that's really something to be scared of, you always know that whatever situation you're in, you do have the courage to deal with that situation. It's there, and all you need to do is connect and access it. And I found that increasingly in my life, that it's something that when I face terrible fear about something in my life, the more greater the fear, the more I realize it's just a test. And as great as the fear, there must be that amount of courage as well, because God doesn't place you in a situation where you don't have the tools to deal with that thing. So not only is there a solution, but there's also courage to deal with that. The bottom line, if it's your package, you can carry it. So rest assured, whatever happens to you in life, you absolutely do have the resources to deal with it. And that in itself is a very reassuring thought. In other words, a human taskmaster, I don't know how to pronounce it, taskmaster, who is reasonable, would never impose work that the person he's tasking with is incapable of fulfilling. Now, when we're speaking of God, who created man and gave him his abilities, he would surely create him with the tools necessary to accomplish his mission. And God, the King of Kings, the essence of good, would never demand the impossible. It's only the evil inclination that comes and convinces man that he's not capable of fulfilling his mission. Man must recognize that this is surely not the case. And that's from the Likutei Sichot. Bottom line, God doesn't merely ask of you to fulfill a mission, God gives you the tools to fulfill your mission. I actually think that's really quite nice, and quite happy to stop there. And maybe if you had anything to say or any questions about it, we could discuss it, but otherwise I'm happy to leave it there for tonight.
I think I'm good. I think it's like the opposite is, what is it? Makdim Rifwa, the Makkah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
The refuah is already there. I saw a very nice Torah about, the apparently one of the most beautiful Tehillim, and the one that it's very effective reinforcing your emunah, is the one that we say 3 times a day. Well, if you daven 3 times a day, it's called Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha, that one.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes according to the letters of the Aleph Beis. And every single letter in the Aleph Beis has an order, in chronological order, its own pasuk of emunah. So it's as if to say, for every situation, there is something, So, for example, Tov Hashem, Tov like Hashem is good for all. There's 2 parts to it. There's the part where it's reassuring you, and then it's reassuring you. So
yeah,
Hashem Lakol, he's good to everyone. But are you sure it's everyone? Rachamav al kol masov, Hashem's mercy is every single one. It's like it's a double reassurance. But when it comes to there's one letter missing. So Do you see where the letter is? Let me just look it up. There's a letter missing, and it's the letter nun.
Okay, let's see.
I'm going to go to it. Find the letter nun. Don't know if they're marked.
Find it.
Have the mem. Malchut Malchut Kol Alamim. Your kingdom is a kingdom of all the world. Mem Shaltecha B'chol Davar.
None.
There's no nun.
None.
So nun is
Mhm.
for nofel, falling. And the nun is included in the samach. The word nun it stands for nofel in Kabbalah. It means you're falling. And Hashem is teaching there is no such thing as falling. You can never fall. And if you think about it from a quantum perspective, you can never fall because everything that moves is relative to another thing. So when you think you're falling, you're actually not. And when the next pasuk is samach, the letter samach is from the root somech, to support. Hashem catches you. So somech Hashem l'chol hanoflim. Hashem put the nofel into the samach. The samach was already there. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, that is.
Hashem l'chol hanoflim. So don't worry about falling. I got you already. It's like here's the nofel, but I got you first. Yeah, I already got that. So you already have everything you need. Okay, very good. We'll leave it there for tonight. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Shulamit.
You're so welcome. I'm sorry I missed you on Shabbos, by the way.